It's the Blue Vote Cafe, a little bit wonkish, a whole lot of fun. I'm David Schellenberg along with Rachel Oyster. We're the co-chairs in Canada's capital of Ottawa. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, David. How are you today?
I've got a big glass of tea.
Aww.
The legendary throat coat tea.
Throat coat's great. Slippery elm.
Yes, it's one of those things that the first time you ever hear somebody, you and I are both in showbiz, and the first time you hear somebody talk about throat coat tea, you go, well, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And then you realize it's actually really common, and it's easy to find at kind of any grocery store, and it's really good.
Nowadays, it used to be harder to find. And there are also, did you know, slippery elm lozenges, which function very much the same as throat coat tea.
Well, that's good to know. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm having my first go-round with COVID, but so far I'm not terribly sick, so I'm just displeased.
Yes. COVID, I remember the first time I had it, it just felt like a really bad cold. But that could be because of, vaccines.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I've got the cold. I've got a mild fever. So if my words come out gibberish, we'll just call it COVID.
that's what we'll Okay.
The other times when I'm perfectly healthy, we'll ignore it.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, we should probably give our usual PSA, our newly usual PSA. If you want to find the full library of all of our pod episodes, for those of you who are hearing us on YouTube or elsewhere where some of our episodes are finding their way, just go to bluevotecafe.com where you can link to the full library on Spotify. So we encourage you to do that. We've talked to some amazing people, and we will have more coming up.
Yes, and there will be skill testing questions. Which I don't know if you and I could answer either.
Yeah, I was going to say, because we're that kind of mean.
Who's with us today, Rachel?
Today, we're talking to Carl Weinschenk, who has begun creating a website. Carl, thank you so much for joining us in the cafe.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to it, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing what you're doing and why. But first, why don't you tell us where you are and anything you want to about how you got there or what you're doing while you're there?
Okay, well, I'm Nassau County, Long Island, New York, about 5 miles from Queens, 6 miles from Queens. Mm-hmm. And I've been living here forever. And we are temporarily the center of the universe because we have the hopefully Swazi victory tomorrow in the election to replace Santos.
Right.
So, and it's really weird because New York voters never, there's never any drama because we're always blue. And now we have this where the whole world is really looking at us, and it's a very unique time for us.
Yeah. That election's tomorrow. I didn't even realize that election was tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so today we're hoping, and by the time people hear this, the results will be known.
And I would have shoveled 8 inches of snow by that point.
That's right. There's snow on the way. But no, you were saying you've been reliably blue, but I was just reading that the Republican machine has come roaring back to life, and your whole county has been taken over by Republicans effectively. Right. Yeah. So
when I was a kid, it was Republican. I lived in a different part of Nassau County, and then it was became blue, and now it's about even. I think it's a D+2 county or district at least, and there was some redistricting. I'm not an expert on it, but the Republicans have come back strong. It's not technically a bellwether, but you get a good idea of what's going on from Nassau County and Queens. And so that's why tomorrow's election is important in that way, too.
Yeah.
Because the Democrats have had a run of special election wins, and hopefully we're going to keep the momentum up, really.
And everyone's looking at those special elections thinking they provide clues to what's going to happen in the general in the fall.
Absolutely. So
clues, I think, is a good word to use because it's going to be very unpredictable, and everybody's going to have to come together to actually pull this off.
And in fact, we do have some Democrats abroad members who are down there working with you, so especially some who come from the area.
And I know most people won't be, as you said, hearing this until after the election, but I know that the early voting and mail voting, at least by party designation, has been very good so far for the Democrats, a little bit better than it was in 2022. So hopefully, that trend will continue. And if there is a lot of snow tomorrow, of course, the early and the mail-in will become relatively more important if people don't get out on election day. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, fingers
We'll
and toes
see.
crossed.
And Carl, what's your connection to Democrats abroad?
Just my one of my daughters lives in Seville, Spain, and she passed my name on to someone. I don't have it in front of me, and you folks were kind enough to contact me. So my one of my daughters is my agent, and she will be getting 10% of everything I get from this.
Oh, we're familiar with those 10% cuts of nothing. Somehow they don't add up as much as
10% of nothing, right?
Exactly. But yeah, she's a member of DA, and you're right. She passed the link to your new blog to a DA member who posted it in the Signal chat that I happen to be part of, and I was like, oh, this looks really interesting. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So tell us, you have created a website and videos. So tell us what you're doing and why.
So people who follow politics, I'm sure a lot of your members obviously follow politics, probably remember in early November, there was a New York Times Siena poll came out that had Biden losing in all the swing states, I think tied in one, and there was a collective worldwide Democratic freakout. It was just this real... it was really a hard hit. It was a gut punch. And that day or the next day or maybe 2 days later, a gentleman by the name of Dan Pfeiffer, who was a senior advisor to Barack Obama, and now am I allowed to say the name of other podcasts?
Oh, we adore them. Yes, of course you can. We want them to be our big cousins, actually.
They're he's co-host of Pod Save America.
Exactly.
And Pfeiffer wrote a Substack basically trying to, get the Democrats back off the ledge a little bit. And he referred to research that suggests, I won't go in, I have it all printed out here, but I'll fumble it and we'll just be, nowhere.
Just give us the highlights. We can go read it too. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. The highlights are when you tell undecided voters the things that Joe Biden has done, Joe Biden's numbers go up. That he's done these things that are kind of like no-brainers, like capping insulin costs at $35 a shot for Medicare, I think it is, and things of that nature. And when people are told that, when undecided voters are told that, Biden's numbers go up. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. So I just had the thought that if you went swing state by swing state, and topic by topic, and did things like said, okay, what has the Biden administration done for, healthcare in Georgia, and had some information, then people would know, and Biden's numbers would go up. And in this research, the numbers would go up pretty significantly across the board. Biden's numbers of people in this survey went up 6 points, which is a lot.
Yeah, holy smokes.
It is a lot, and there are a lot of undecideds. They're called double haters in that they've shown allegiance both to Biden and to Trump. I don't think that's a great name because they're not hating anything. They're just undecided.
That is a funny name.
It's a funny name, and if anything, they're less haters because they're not as partisan as the rest of us are. So anyway, they're called double haters, which I don't like. But, so it seemed worth the effort to go and, what has Biden administration, done for infrastructure in North Carolina, things of that nature. Just take it topic by topic. So that's so I started it. It's very I don't have that much time and that much skill, so it's not the greatest looking website in the world. But I find on
the content is solid.
Sometimes I would debate that at this point.
Okay. Well, then that just means more work to do.
I'm glad you think so. Yeah, there's a lot more work to do, which leads me to if anyone out there, and we talked about this a little before, if anyone out there is interested either in writing, doing videos, or SEO type work, I would really, really appreciate it. It's Carl with a C at Biden and the Swing States. Be really appreciated because I don't have all that much time, and the skills, especially for the SEO stuff, is way beyond me. But thank you for letting me put in that plug. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But okay, so
wait a minute, hold on, Carl. That's not that's not a real email address. You can't have two @ signs.
Oh, I missed that.
So it's Carl at BidenandTheSwingStates.com.
Like the word at? Or Carl at Gmail. Oh, so no gmail.com. Just Carl at BidenandTheSwingStates.com.
.com.
Right.
No Gmail. Okay.
No Gmail. That was confusing.
No Gmail.
Thank you for catching that, David.
Okay. Like, wait a minute. You got two ats
I
in there.
missed it.
Okay. And if that could be one of the things you edit out, that'd be wonderful.
Well, then just do that the bit again, Carl. So how if people want to get involved, how can they find you?
Carl at BidenandTheSwingStates.com.
Okay. I'll edit that together somehow or other.
All right. Super.
I'll email you right after.
Go ahead, David. Sounded like you were about to.
Yes, I was just trying to formulate. So, Carl, are you the only one doing this, or is there not somebody else out there who's already realized that, somebody needs to take the time and itemize these individual things that he has done?
I don't know of anyone else doing it. There might be some local state by state Biden sites, but I haven't seen anything. I did a fairly exhaustive search because I wanted to do it with someone, but I couldn't really find anything.
Right. And where are you getting your facts from?
I'm basically, I want to do a video. I spend about 15 to 20 minutes going back 2 years. I don't go all the way back to the beginning, but I go back about 2 years and just surf and find a lot of press releases from the administration. And it's money being given out under, all the funnels that they have, the bipartisan, all the, the programs they've put up to, get the economy back on their feet. They each put out their own press releases. And I just Google, healthcare Georgia Biden, and you get a ton of stuff, really.
Right.
So then you make a video and put it on YouTube.
Put it on YouTube. I just basically, like I said, it's very low tech. I really, basically read. It's all about the information. It's all about planting the seed. Mm-hmm. So the other thing about this is, unfortunately, the idea has taken root, and hopefully could push against it, that Joe Biden's just an old guy and is just kind of sitting there doing nothing. And that's unfortunate. And what happened last week, I think there's a silver lining to it, but what happened last week with the report from the special counsel kind of put it out front on the table. The idea here with the website, other than being encyclopedic and really giving people the idea of the total amount of money the administration has spent on these various topics in these various states, the idea is just to plant the seed that the administration has done more than, just support Biden's, that they've done more than just, sit there doing nothing. They've done a lot.
Yeah. They've done a lot. Yeah, exactly.
So that's the basic idea, is to plant the seed that there is there's this dichotomy between how good the economy is now and people's idea of Joe Biden. And just to kind of push back against that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you're kind of making a clearinghouse of information about what the Biden administration has done to change people's lives for the better, basically.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And the Uber message is that he's done a lot, as opposed to just trying to be very specific about it, just to get this idea that he's done a lot and that he cares and that he's doing more than Trump would do if he was president.
Yeah, he's effective. And I mean, I stumbled a little mentally when you said doing more than Trump would do. Trump, if we're listening to what he's saying he's going to do, would do a lot, but it would not be stuff that we want him to do.
Right. No, he wants to do a lot.
He wants to do a lot that we don't want him to do. So we're happy happy that you're helping to spread the word of the good things that Biden has done. Right. So you're doing videos on YouTube, and do you, every time you do one of these little research dives and create a video, do you write a blog post on the same topic at the same time? Because you've got both the blog and the YouTube videos going.
I put the videos both at YouTube and at the site, links to YouTube. I did a lot of writing at first, and then I don't have that much time to do this, so I then went to the YouTube videos.
Oh, so you switched over from the writing to the.
Right.
To the
but I will do more writing in the future. Once I'm working on another big project, and once I get that off my desk, I'll have more time to do this, and that's the goal.
Right. It sounds like the research that you're doing is sort of a trip down memory lane. That there was an announcement, there was a program, but it was just 2 years ago. And somehow, some way, in everything that just goes on in our lives, the information overload that we live in, we forgot that this happened a couple of years ago. And it was a big story then, and it just somehow or other got lost.
It got lost, and it's a lot of money that has been invested. And people do forget. And people, I think the human tendency is to make a decision about something. Biden's an old man, the administration's not doing much to help us, and it's very hard to change that. Right. It's very hard to turn the Titanic, and hopefully, this will help a tiny bit, but that's the problem. And the problem is that Joe Biden looks like an old guy, and he moves stiffly and that sort of thing, and I think that has a tremendous amount of staying power, the actual images,
Yeah,
so
well, the other side's also working very hard to make that a central issue. It's not,
I think they're both old guys, so you can sort of eliminate the age thing as a part of it, and let's just concentrate on actual ability compared to age, because the ages of these two is so close that it's irrelevant.
Effectively the same. And in fact, coming back to Dan Pfeiffer, he said this week, what we need to talk about is what difference it will make in people's lives to have one or the other prevail in November.
Right.
And
the real problem, though, is the perception of age.
Yes.
I mean, Trump gets on TV and he's, he's cuckoo for cope. He's just cuckoo.
Yeah, he is.
He has he has some energy behind him. Yeah,
that's it. Yep.
He has some energy, and he puts on the roll-on tan there, and he has his, whatever that thing is on his head, and he looks younger than Biden does. He just does. Yeah. Now, I watched a video of Biden speaking to a reporter about 4 months ago, and it was a one-on-one where there was no pressure, and Joe Biden has it together. Joe Biden, he's fine. He makes his flubs, and he always has, but he's very with it. But that doesn't come across when he's in public. It's a problem. But hopefully we'll get past it. The silver lining of what happened, I believe, last week with the with the special counsel's report is that age always was and will be an issue in this campaign. And the ham-handed way that this investigator went about, basically taking shots at Biden, put it centrally on the table. And now if the administration has its act together, they can respond to it. It's a thing now, as opposed to this kind of amorphous doubt about Biden's age.
Right.
So hopefully they'll push back against it. And, it's always going to be an issue, but hopefully it will be less of an issue than it had been.
Well, while we're talking Trump, since we've gone down this path, so Carl, you're like in Queens, you're right in New York City, so he has probably been a part of your life more than anybody else for an awful long time. Like how long has he been in your circles?
Well, it's funny. I have a very, very close friend whose dad, who's 98 and still cooking.
Yeah.
But he's retired now. But he had a sign shop on street in Jamaica. Trump was raised in Jamaica Estates. And Fred, of course, his dad was a big developer. And my friend's dad had a sign shop not far from there. And, 40 or 50 years ago, Trump used to actually come in to pick up supplies, pick up signs for their real estate business.
Wow.
So
he is a true New Yorker,
it's
inside out. And he wasn't always in the private jets.
Yeah. No, he's a New Yorker. They were always wealthy, I think. And, there are, hopefully it doesn't really represent us. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, there are good, we're not all like Donald Trump here. But no, he, one of the early things was that his dad, Fred, had to sign a consent decree because they had I think it was Queens Village or Jamaica Village, which was a housing, apartment buildings, and they were discriminating racially against African American people moving in, and they had to sign a consent decree. So he's been a sleazebag all the way back, and of course when he took out a full-page ad in the New York Times that they should execute these kids who were falsely accused of raping the jogger in Central Park, and it was complete nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And he took out and one of those kids just won off. I think city council.
Yes.
He just won. He just got elected. So it's turnabout is fair play.
Yep.
But getting back to the website for one second.
Back on track.
I wanted to mention the difficult thing about it, and I was thinking, and I didn't think about this really before I started it, is if you are creating a website or any kind of media to a particular audience, you can identify that audience. If you are going to make a Taylor Swift website, you try to appeal to Swifties. Baseball, you make one about the Blue Jays or whatever, and you try to differentiate it, but you have a market you're going after. People who are undecided about Trump or Biden at this point, this is Jimmy Carter and Jerry Ford. I mean, these are, it's you have to be fairly apolitical not to know who you like at this point. Mm-hmm. And so that makes it very difficult to get an audience, because you're basically trying to create a website that appeals to an audience which is defined by the fact that they don't care about what you're talking about. if you can follow that.
Absolutely.
Yes, these are people who are avoiding politics and have no interest in politics. Right. And
so I should actually call. You just gave me a good idea. I should call it Taylor Swift or something, and then all of a sudden I get a lot of traffic.
But I was actually going to ask what you've done to get out the word that you're doing this.
Not that much. I haven't moved into that. What I think I'm going to do is if it shows any signs of, success, and if there's any market for it, find that out, and then do some kind of crowdfunding thing, so I could bring in people, so I would have funding to actually bring in people who know what they're talking about. So I've tried websites before, and if you don't know what you're doing, it's very frustrating, and you really don't get anywhere because it's so competitive, and the details of being effective webmaster, especially with a special challenge, the one I just described, makes it very, very, very difficult. So I might try to get at some point some expertise to try to get this to the people who we want it to go to.
Yeah, you need to do something that's going to go viral.
Yeah, and I don't. Do you have any ideas?
Those things are hard to plan. They just happen. So that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
So, and Carl, as you've been researching Biden, is there anything that's really popped out to you that you had to just sort of blink and go, oh yeah, that's right, he did that? Like something that even surprised you from the past couple of years?
What surprised me is the consistency. No one program or project, but it's been very, very consistent. It's been trying to, there really is a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. I made the Jimmy Carter, Jerry Ford comment a while ago. At that point in our collective lives in this country, the parties kind of wanted the same thing. They had very big differences in how to get there, but there wasn't a huge gap in the goals. The kind of thing and the kind of funding and the kind of grants that the Biden administration is making are decidedly socially positive, environmentally positive, consistent things. They're actually walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And that's what has been very impressive. And when you start really putting the press releases together, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Well, you said that earlier, and I was going to ask if you've tallied it at all. A running total with a little, button on your site saying, "Here's how much I found so far." Might be fun.
That'd be great. That's a good idea. You want to do that?
Once our podcast goes viral, yeah, sure.
That is actually a good. The only reason I might be reluctant to do it is because I'm basically doing a sort of a slipshod approach where
you're kind
I have
of
no
skimming,
intention of being encyclopedic about it. And
but
again,
you could frame it that way. Yeah, Carl Weinschenk has to date found the administration has invested, X amount of dollars on social and family and environmental causes.
That's actually a very good idea. Or states,
states.
In North Carolina, and I purposely didn't really define swing states because if the wind is blowing in the right direction, Ohio could be a swing state. Texas could. We have a great guy running against Cruz. I'm trying to remember his name, but he's tremendous. And Cruz's, his shelf life, the whole Cancun thing, I think rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Right.
So if the wind is blowing the right way, anything, outside of the Idahos and Montanas of the country could be counted. But the pure swing states are the ones we all know, the upper Midwest, and Florida is another one. Florida can be on the map. It really can,
Yeah.
Conversely, the kind of scary, sobering thing is Biden won a lot of states by small margins. His state margins were far less than Trump's. So that's the sobering piece of this.
Yeah.
The good news is Trump keeps getting felony charges against them, and
Hooray! That's great news. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, at some point, that's really going to take a toll. I would imagine. I would hope.
Yeah, one would hope.
I mean,
yes, if Republicans are truly a law-abiding group of individuals, then that should have some sort of effect.
Yeah, that's a big
well,
if.
There's a wide spectrum. There are lots and lots and lots of non-Trump Republicans and people who really are conservatives, which is a very honorable thing. I mean, a lot of things real conservatives say resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I'm a liberal, so I have my problems with them, but they do resonate. Then there's the core MAGA people, and even that, if you really are obnoxious as Trump is over a long period of time, even some of those people towards kind of the outer edge of the MAGA world are going to move on to someone else or not vote or something. I don't believe that Trump is this unassailable person who's always going to have this sway over the public. I think it's the emperor and the emperor's new clothes kind of thing at some point.
Hope you're right. I mean, there is some research to suggest that people will be influenced by a conviction into not voting for him.
Right. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we'll see soon. They're talking now about putting the Stormy Daniels trial ahead of the January 6th trial, which would kind of be unfortunate because that's the kind of least serious of all the felonies. But as long as they fit them all in, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But we do live in interesting times, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask you more about your background. How you got to doing this? What is there anything in your past that led you to this point?
Well, I covered and I still cover telecommunications and IT. That's kind of my day job. But really, I didn't think this would come up, but it was my dad, really, in a kind of indirect way. He was a German Jew, and he left Germany in 1920, and he ended up, I worked at the New York Public Library, and after Pearl Harbor, he joined the Army, and he ended up on the second assault wave at Omaha Beach.
Oh my!
And his boat was hit. It's a very, very dramatic, just like Saving Private Ryan. And I think my whole family has always been very, very attached is a dumb word, but believe very, very deeply, like many, many other people do, in what America is. Mm-hmm. And when you end up with a threat like this is a very insidious threat in Trump. And it's insidious because it's not just Trump as a symptom. There's no Trump without a lot of underlying deep and serious problems. And I think of what my dad went through to get here. And he ended up going to law school and becoming a lawyer and helping to get restitution for people who, people and families who were in the concentration camps. It's his whole life was, that's what he did.
Wow.
So it's a very deep American story of my dad. And to see this threat come along, it's very visceral, I think, for myself, my brother, my family. We really feel it, So I think that's why I'm so obsessive about politics at a deeper level, which is something I didn't really expect to be talking about today.
Well, thank you for sharing that. No, it's very...
The genesis of this thing of anything is always interesting, of why is it important to you? What's the passion that pushes you forward on this?
And it's also, for a lot of people, it's like, how dare this guy be so obnoxious. This latest thing, I mean, I'm no fan of Nikki Haley, but this guy gets out there and he starts saying, "Where's Nikki's husband? Where's Nikki's husband?" His wife hasn't appeared with him. But secondly, Nikki Haley's husband is deployed in the military, you moron. So it's just like,
exactly.
I mean, he's deployed. He's somewhere, he's in like Tripoli or something. I don't know. He's serving his country.
Yeah.
So it's a very, it would be 4 more years of fingernails on chalkboards if this guy won. I mean,
yeah.
It's just.
Yes, it would.
Well, thank you for helping us make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it is going to take all of us, but it's good to know there are other people, everyone working in their own way to make sure he doesn't.
Yeah, everyone. I phone bank, and I would rather take out my own wisdom teeth with flyers than phone bank. I mean, I don't deal.
Oh yes, it's hard.
I don't. I don't deal well with rejection, and if you don't deal well with rejection, phone banking is like the last thing you want to do. But I do it. In fact, I'm going tonight. Well, not going. I'm doing it from the house here, but I'm doing it, and at least I have now with this storm coming. At least I have an excuse to call people. You can't turn on the television here. This must be how it is in swing states every 4 years. You can't watch television without seeing 15 political ads. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good Lord, yes.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I'm from Iowa originally, and people in Iowa just talk about the several months leading up to the caucuses and how you're just inundated constantly by it.
Yeah.
Don't the long shot candidates visit every house in Iowa?
Yeah. Yeah, and they've all got examples of the amount of brochures and things that get dropped off at their houses and just collect stacks and stacks of this stuff.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, a lot of resources. Yep.
Yeah, no, and the problem with phone banking is people get angry and said, "I told you to put me on the no-call list," but they don't realize it's like 10 different organizations.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just once in a while, and just gotta suck it up and do it, really.
Yeah, and if you get one positive interaction for every 5 or 10 negative ones, it's worth it. Yeah.
I've had 2 very interesting conversations about the Democrats and the situation in the Middle East. And both of the people were very nice and very eloquent, and they both are going to vote. One of them is definitely going to vote for Swazi.
Good.
And the other one seemed to be leaning in that direction. But we had actually very, especially in one case, a very long and insightful and polite and civil conversation about it.
That's wonderful.
So that makes up for a lot of the cursing.
You're calling New Yorkers. Isn't this expected?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's true.
Absolutely. And it's also a very weird district in that it goes from the city, from a area called Whitestone, where my wife actually taught, east across the northern part of Nassau County, which is the old, Great Gatsby, the Gold Coast area, and Teddy Roosevelt's home is in the district, and out to Suffolk County, which is, quite a far from Manhattan, really, and from the city. And so it's kind of odd that it doesn't have anything to do with county lines or city and suburbs. So it's an interesting thing.
Oh, it's crazy, gerrymandered. My husband and I went down to New York in the 2018 midterms, to help. We knocked on doors. We'd help canvass in the lead up to one of the elections. This was one of the closest swing districts to us. And that district ran from the northern border all the way to the southern border. in this funny, skinny little wiggly line that went around the university to exclude it.
Where were you? North.
We were in, well, it was near Mexico, New York.
I don't know that. That's upstate.
I know, it's a tiny little, yes, upstate for sure. A tiny little town. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hudson, I think, was one of the other towns. I mean, we're going back to 2018, so my memory isn't, I haven't refreshed that part yet.
Hudson's beautiful. That's where the Hudson, New York is great, right on the river there.
It was a beautiful area, but it was also full of trailer parks. I'd never seen, I'm serious, so many kinds of trailer parks, from the most affluent, most beautifully tended to the most heart-wrenching, up to your knees in mud trailer parks with, you could see houses mildewing and roofs collapsing, but it was crazy. Every other place we canvassed was a trailer park.
Yeah, maybe you knocked on Clarence Thomas's door because that billionaire gave him a trailer.
That's a good point. If we did, we didn't recognize him. But that was a very interesting experience. And yeah, I mean, I'd rather make phone calls than go door to door, but my husband's the opposite. So, it takes all kinds.
Really?
Yeah, I'd rather go door to door too.
My wife and I canvassed, and we went to a town called Port Washington, and the first door we knocked on, the guy, I said, "We're here for Tom Swazi," and the guy was like, "Get out." And that was the first door.
Oh,
and then
no.
after that, it was fine, but I thought, boy, this could be a long afternoon.
Yeah, you do run into some funny things. We were going door to door with for two identified Democratic voters, but we still ran into things like one house where the man chased us off his property, basically. Like, there are no Democrats in this house. And my husband looked at the list and realized the Democrat was, like 18 years old. Like, we didn't want to tell him, "Sir, your daughter's a Democrat, and she probably hasn't. She's living a secret life under your roof. I'm sorry." But
or maybe this is your other family.
That's right. In the same address.
Well, thanks for coming down here and doing that. We appreciate it. I got a call. I got a call myself the other day for Swazi, and I tell the woman, obviously we're voting for Swazi, so on and so forth. She says, "Thanks very much. By the way, I'm calling you from Hawaii."
Well, imagine when Democrats Abroad members call our members around the world.
Right. You
could be calling anywhere in the globe, from anywhere in the globe.
So that story I told probably wasn't even struck you as odd.
No, not at all. Not for us.
I mean,
Pretty
usually
common,
I gotta
really.
laugh with that one. It's like, so what?
Well, not so much so what, but yes, it's a parallel experience.
She also said, "I'm not going to tell you what the temperature is here now."
That was kind.
That was nice of her. But she managed to get it in there anyway.
Oh, well.
But it'll all be over. It'll all be over in a day. That's the...
That one race, and then we pull up our socks or our boots or whatever we're pulling up and head for November.
And the last thing is that Smith, I went to SUNY Oneonta, which is a small school and not the greatest school, and that's where the guy who's prosecuting Trump, Smith, is from. Went to Oneonta. It's
Wonderful! A fellow alum.
Alum, yeah.
You could probably find him on the alumni network.
That's hell. I love to buy him a beer, which is not hard in Oneonta. But he was much later than me. But he's tough. He's tough.
He is indeed doing important work.
Mm-hmm.
Very important, and all of those people have such bravery. Physical bravery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my God, can you imagine what it must feel like?
Yeah, because, for sure.
I have this feeling deep down that it's all going to be okay, that when push comes to shove, for all our imperfections and all our, neuroses or whatever, Americans at the end of the day stand up and do the right thing. And it's a struggle, and it doesn't always, it sometimes looks bleak. But I really feel that way. And I feel that way about Canadians too.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's really good to hear. And it's something we have been hearing, David, right? Several of our guests have said that, which is very encouraging. I mean, I read the people I follow say the same thing. We've got this. We have to do the work. We have to do the work. Everyone has to do their part, but we've got this if we do.
And I think even among people who are open to him, I think there's an idea taking root that Trump, not joking about it, Trump really is mentally ill. And, if enough people finally realize it, I mean, we might be up against some sort of time limit. So, please tell me to stop when we need to.
But finish your thought, please.
Yeah. My thought is, who has his business empire under siege, and the judge who has the power to end it go into court and pick a fight with the guy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's that's bad. I was going to say something. I mean, that's nuts. It's nuts.
You could say it's not strategic.
No, it's not. It's not getting to yes. Let's put it that way.
That's right. Well, Carl, thanks so much for spending this time with us. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you very, very, very much for inviting me. And it's been just, I get a little nervous doing this sort of thing once in a while that I've done it. And usually as the reporter. And you folks are very hospitable. And I really, really appreciate it very much.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, we just like talking to people. And when we saw what you were doing, we thought it was worth hearing your story.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. So if you are listening and you have not gone to votefromabroad.org to register with your voting state and request your ballot, do it right now. And also, if you're a member of Democrats Abroad.
Quickly.
Yeah, quickly, exactly. If you're a member of Democrats Abroad, keep an eye on your email because you will have the opportunity to vote in the Democrats Abroad global presidential primary. I'm Rachel Oigster with David Schellenberg in Ottawa, Canada. Thank you for listening to Democrats Abroad, the Blue Vote Cafe.